This is Naoki Yoshida.
This is Fern Hall.
And you are listening to Aetheryte Radio.
Aetheryte Radio.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to Aetheryte Radio, Gamerscape's Final Fantasy XIV podcast. I'm FusionX. Joining me today, we have Bryn, Zenidra, and our special guest, Mr. Happy.
Oh, special. Stop.
You're so special.
No.
So special. You know, it's funny because as soon as I said that, I was like, oh, he's going to comment on this. He doesn't like that. Our normal, completely average guest.
We found this random internet dude, and here he is.
I'm just gonna go on Twitch and find one of those like cool streamer dudes, and this is what I found. So here you go.
Yeah, accurate.
So today is our patch 4.5 discussion. For those of you who did not see on the site, we did post our schedule for the entire month of January, which doesn't include last week. So we are going weekly.
No one has to know
because we are crazy. So. Crazy. So this week will be our hands-on discussion for 4.5. Next week, we're going to do a spoiler cast. We're going to talk about the story elements. We're going to do our very first patch review, which will also receive a written review up on the blog. And then we're also going to do a quick Blue Mage hands-on as well. And then on February 26th, we're going to talk a lot more in depth about Blue Mage. So keep an eye out for that. The schedule is on our Twitch page, so check that out. It's also posted on the blog, on Twitter. It's everywhere. You can't miss it. So hopefully
Gamerscape.com.
There you go. So we hope you join us for those as well. So I guess we'll just jump right into it. So we're not going to talk about main scenario. That's the only thing we're not going to talk about.
Spoiler cast.
I know, I did the same thing. Just move on.
So dungeon, right? We had the Gimlet Dark. I've only had time to run this once so far.
You're going to like it the second time through because they do a really nice subtle thing and you don't think it the first time. You want to know? You want to know what it is? It's not really spoilery. It's just really
cool. It's really cool.
So where you get to this one big old, giant guy and one of your party members does the limber break, that rotates. That's different. So it's like I've seen I think 2 or 3. So it's really cool that whoever executes the break is different. I don't know if there's something that triggers who it's going to be, but I actually appreciated just that small little touch,
little change.
Interesting. Yeah, I ran 2 experts since the patch.
Did you get it?
I got the damn Arboretum both times. They add a new dungeon, and I'm still getting the damn Arboretum every single expert roulette I do. I am so sick of this.
The true difficulty of that dungeon is the music, because it does put you to sleep.
Oh, it's terrible. Like I love Soken. I love the sound team. That Arboretum hard
half as bad
background
as
music
freaking
is...
Midgardsormr, though. They're going through the first one with that fighting.
No, I love Midgardsormr.
I like the song, but it
puts me on edge.
Chill. Really? It puts me to sleep.
It's a little chill.
I can
understand
that. And I'm like, everybody wake up.
Understand
all right, the cat is acting up. I'm taking care of this now.
All right. The cat has
looking down the whole time. He wanted in, and then as soon as the show started, he's like, all right, let me ruin everything.
Like my cat used to do the same thing. Like as soon as he heard me waking up for work at like 4 in the morning, I'd just see the paw under the door. Like, is it time to feed me? And I'm like, no, go away.
I have a member of my static whose dog, whenever they hear the duty pop noise, needs to go outside. So we're all ready, but the dog has to go.
That's funny.
That's hilarious. My dog always is annoying because it's that when he is let out, eventually he'll just bark like on at least a 1-minute timer. So if I'm trying to record anything, it's always like I just got to get up and let the dog in because otherwise it's gonna be every minute on the minute. It's just this like rough. It's just like
you just plan to work around it. You use the bark as bullet points for your discussion.
Speaking of discussion, 4.5.
4.5.
Told you I'm an expert at derailing things.
Derailed,
right? I will say one of the things that I did like about this dungeon, with the Iron Giant, there's that new mechanic with the circle around thing. I think that's new. I don't think that's been used in anything else.
I can think of one thing it's been used in 012.
Okay.
Oh, it's also used in the IS map. Yeah, when he's doing when he's jumping forward and hitting the big AoE.
Oh yeah. In the
Okay.
second raid.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
I can't even think of what you're talking about.
It's the arrows that spin.
The
and
circle,
he does
the circular spinny thing where
Yeah.
he goes around
Yeah.
and you don't see it a lot. So that was kind of like, oh, okay. So I appreciated that as somebody that doesn't do a lot of that other stuff, but Yazmat. I don't know why I didn't think of Yazmat. Like, derp.
You've blocked out all the 24-man disaster.
It's been a while. Yeah. I ran a Rabanaster to get some coins, and I'm like, what is this raid? Like, people are still wiping. I don't understand.
Gimlet Dark. I wasn't big on Gimlet Dark. I wasn't big on it. I like the aesthetic, but the dungeon itself was, for me, like one of the most boring max level dungeons we've had since 4.1. I prefer Scala, the Burn, Swallow's Compass. They're all far more, for me, aesthetically. I think it's the Garlean aesthetic. I think it's seen it so much.
Yeah.
I can understand that. Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's looking to be a trend going forward.
Yeah.
I really like the paratroopers. Like, that's such a
That was cool. Like, that's
But
like one of the first things. They're like, there's
You see the shadow,
right
you see
in.
the shadow, and then they're dropping in. And I thought that was a nice touch. The only thing I think, if I was gonna the only critique from that perspective is that if I'm the tank, I keep continually trying to tab target just to see am I missing anybody, because there are these little battles going on around you, but they're not targetable. And so the whole question, I'm like, I get do I have everybody on lockdown?
There's definitely, before the second boss, there's I think it's actually a friendly Magitech thing that comes and lands, and everybody stops and looks at it like,
yep.
Are we okay?
What are we doing? Are we this? No? We're
They
good?
say,
Okay.
go on, I'll take care of it, but it landed in front of me, so I'm sitting there expecting for it to be targetable.
Good guy, bad guy. I don't know what's happening. I think for me, part of the, if I had to say any issues with it, I think part of the issue I had with it, overall, I liked it. But it's that weird kind of disconnect. I think now that, as somebody that has been playing this game, it was it's a main scenario dungeon, right? But it's not like the Burn was technically an MSQ dungeon, right? But this is that there's all these NPCs in it. There's kind of story going on. It felt more like one of the 2.0 main scenario things, but without cutscenes, and that felt weird. I understand it from a design perspective, because we don't want another Praetorium or anything with all these cutscenes, right? But it's just it felt odd to me. I don't know.
It makes me still wish and long for 8-man dungeons, as those are, just minus the cutscenes. And
I mean, I just want raids to go back to being like Alexander Normal, where we actually go through them and not like we were with Omega.
Like a trial.
I just want, as an 8-man, I'm satisfied enough with no 8-man dungeons, but to get Alexander Normal again, where you actually are going through Alexander. And
you want the trash mobs back.
I guess I want the adventure. I want the adventure of going from the start point to the end point.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, this raid, for as awesome and fan servicey as it was and enjoyable as it was for the all of the Omega, I agree with Mr. Happy, is that it was really just trial fights. You zone in, trial fight boss, and then you're done. I'm like, okay. I mean,
as much as people hated it, I really liked the very first coil fight where you had a legitimate baby boss.
It's Faust.
They kind of brought that back with Faust, but it feels different to me. I don't know why.
I will say, speaking of entering dungeons and trials, that was a big quality of life thing. I like now when you enter a dungeon or a trial, it resets all your cooldowns as opposed to wipe.
Yeah.
I've seen some people break the game a little bit with it. I saw someone get a 6-second buff because they just kept exiting and re-entering and using the buff and stacking the timer.
Cheater.
Huh.
So I imagine they'll fix that, because it should just have a maximum duration, obviously.
Yeah, and that's something they said too when they were originally playing with ability resets and stuff. They're like, if people are abusing this, we're gonna have issues. Please don't abuse it.
You gotta fix the issues, man.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think of the 3 different bosses? So we have, obviously, you have the Iron Giant, you've got the tunnel digging machine, then you have the twins or something. So
I'm normally really, really good at not standing in crap. Not really, really good, but maybe above par for your average player. And something about these fights, I'm just missing the stuff. Maybe it's because everything's red and all the AoE markers are red. I'm just standing in crap everywhere. I'm like, oh my god, am I getting senile? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I can't. I don't know. You go first.
I know you were talking last night, and you're done with Iron Giants and the Garland aesthetic.
I'm so done with Iron.
It's a good thing they're not doing an entire expansion based around that. Otherwise, you'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
Iron Giant was all right. What was the set? Was that the Scorpion or the
Prometheus? It's the tunnel. It's the tunnel.
The tunnel thing.
Yeah,
that was all right. Like they're forgettable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The last boss was cool. Like how they're switching out with each other.
Yeah,
and running all over the area and stuff. Like that was cool. Like
I like those. Go ahead. Sorry, Michelle.
When they come back. Yeah, the one pops away and then it comes back and they do a little high five. It's my favorite part.
Do they really? I didn't notice that.
Yes,
that's great. That's great. I love that.
You've done it once, you said, right? I've done it like 12 times.
I was wishing that they would be. I mean, because I guess we didn't actually kill them.
No.
Right. So I hope that they're brought to the forefront a little bit more. Like, because I thought that when you first see them, I'm like, oh, like I want to know more about them. Like, who are they? So hopefully we see a little bit more of them.
My big thing is they have a mechanic where they go, few people have seen this, and then they do like a bunch of AoEs, and they say, and even fewer have seen this, and then it's like a minute-long charge up to the Enrage, and it's so lenient that's why no one's seen it. I know someone who everyone in the party died to the AoEs except them on Samurai, and they soloed the thing.
What?
That's how easy it was.
Oh,
fantastic. I still actually really enjoyed the Prometheus fight, namely because still to this time when I run it, and if somebody doesn't know about the second one where they do the 4 meteors, you run center, and then he's going to dash across the level and blast you. It's still like, for me, when I've been playing it, it's like, you're trying to say like, get out of the center, but still somebody's like, I'm just standing right here in the center, and like, this guy's about to get blasted down.
Anytime you see anything disappear, you look at the sides. It's going to be a dive. Come on.
I learned that in Siren back in Pharaoh Sirius.
Yeah.
That's one thing I think with this patch, I feel like, is between that fight, between the raid and between the trial, there's a lot of awareness required from these fights. With Siryu, there's you have the snakes and like the big like giant thing that appears. In the raid you have we have Orlando, right? Which is Ozma 2.0. It's basically
That's
Ozma, but like not just like shapes. He's an actual creature now, and so you have to watch his movements and how he's going to attack and stuff. And you just have to be very aware with a lot of the fights in this. It's not just like, oh, get out of the orange.
I felt this was far more mechanically driven in that regards, to where like essentially like, hey, you're fighting the Thunder God. First priority is mechanics. Second priority is your rotation. Like. If you focus on your rotation, which a lot of DPS tend to, you get that like tunnel vision.
Oh yeah.
Thunder God's going to kill you like really quickly, or you're going to just kill the entire raid because you've got responsibilities beyond your typical rotation. So learning the fight, I think, was really enjoyable as far as it goes.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a minute. Did anybody else have anything else about Gimlet Dark that they wanted to say?
I don't know. Like it's another dungeon.
It's all right.
The gear. Right. The gear is really good. Like aesthetics wise, I said aesthetics. Like looks wise, I love it. It's good. It dies well.
It's a good glamour patch, is what you're saying.
Yes. I went in. I really, really wanted the Bard coat. It took me forever to get it, and I got a bunch of other stuff on the way. And I was like, oh, all of this is beautiful too. Let me put it on.
I'm just curious, and not to jump too far ahead into like future like podcasts, but it's just that for what it is, it just makes me wonder is if it's going to be reused with part 2, because it's like obviously the trailer with 5.0, a lot of visual representation as a part of the Gimlet Dark. So the fact is like if like you were to give it a score, it's just like, okay, it's good, it's another dungeon, but the core principal thing of it is it just good because it's kind of hyped up by 5.0? Because it's featured somewhat in the cutscene, or are we going to see something more with it later down the road? I don't know. I have no answers. So.
We'll see that last arena in a trial.
You know what?
That last little chunk of the map will be a trial.
You know what it feels like? It's when you have the actual like, I don't know how to describe them. They're like the cutscene between cutscene thing. You just kind of run from point A to point B, kill a couple things, and you're done. You do it solo. That's what that dungeon feels like, but with 4 people.
Okay.
And that's kind of probably
Yeah. I agree with that. It's like a phased instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Doesn't resonate much with me. But
Yeah,
I've said
no, same. No, I agree on that.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it, yeah.
Brian's like, whatever, I love this dungeon.
No, I'm not in love with it. I'm just saying that I expected more of it, but I'm not disappointed in it.
I think my thing was I expected more of it. I think just the MSQ in general. And I feel like that didn't deliver as much as... I think the problem was in this patch, MSQ got overshadowed by Ivalice, I think is what happened.
Oh,
at least with only half the story.
Yeah.
Because they stopped and I'm like,
Yeah.
no, you can't. No, that's not. You're not. No, you can't. Do that.
We'll do the spoiler cast obviously next week, but I would still argue that we actually either learned a lot or we learned a lot about assumed knowledge from Varus in his conversation with the leaders. There's a lot of interesting little lore pieces of his perspective, and we'll talk about it next week. But there's a couple of things that I think really put you off edge. Some of the ways he delivers his lines, and some of the ways and what the words that he uses specifically for me put me it harkens back to real world catastrophes.
Yay, politics.
No, definitely. I see that too.
Okay. I'm just making sure. There was things he said. I was like, I feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's a World War thing.
Yeah. Got it. All right,
boy.
big bad. Got it. We got it. You're evil. Okay.
All right. Next up, we have the Wreath of Snakes with Siryu. No lyrics in the music, but I will say I do like the track.
You got Zervin.
It's always one of these things. Yeah, it's always one of these things like with the music. It's like, oh, there's no lyrics. That means it's gonna be bad. But then you start playing, you're like, all right, I like this. This is good. It's like I loved like Bismarck. Nobody else liked Bismarck, but I liked Bismarck. Everybody was like Zervin or not Zervin. Crap. Ravana.
Yeah.
Everybody was like, Ravana, this is like the best 3.0 track. I'm like, no.
No, Ravana rocks.
Bismarck, man.
Ravana is amazing.
They're both good. They're both good.
There you go.
Best part of
Ravana.
we're talking about music now, and it's like just off that alone, the primal ponies, the ravens, and the roulette that you can only pick from your favorites is the best experience of, quality of life thing of this patch, because it's like primal ponies can fly. All right, I'm flying around, rocking out the Titan.
Yeah, that was one of the changes. They can finally fly.
Nightmare. I don't have to deal with that crap ass mana cutter anymore. Get out of here. So
hated
that bound.
Oh boy. What did you guys think of Siryu?
Very easy.
Yeah, but I was surprised because normally I like more challenging encounters. I mean, I'm sure you picked that up from my opinion on the Gimlet Dark, but this was the one I would have the most fun doing.
Think so?
I don't care that he's easier. He's like Byakuya levels of easy, but he's also it just flows. The pacing is satisfying and the memes are on point and it's not overly demanding. And
there were a lot of jokes in that one, weren't there?
It's put together really well. And I think that when Yoshida mentioned that they specifically said do not do a super long transition like Suzaku and Byakuya, I think that paid off for him to tell them not to do that, because I don't want to farm those two for that reason.
Seriously.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that fight is the 2 attacks back to back, Coursing River and Great Typhoon. Very awesome. You guys are like, what are you talking about?
I'm just saying,
I'm bad with remembering move names.
Okay, so I think one of the water things the snakes do.
When the rush?
I think it's called Coursing River, and then the smashing is Great Typhoon. So it's a man.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 Coursing River.
It's Mulan.
Yeah, come on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm laughing.
They're just layering it in this fight then, I guess, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's Welcome
Welcome
to Die. There's
the
Kimi Rollin' They Hatin'.
Yeah.
There's the Rocking one. There's Great Typhoon and Coursing River.
Loke was in a mood, I think, is what.
I like when it transitions. Obviously, the second half of the fight that you're in the water and you're having to swim a little bit. Obviously that means you're out of the action. You can't use actions and stuff like that. But I just thought that was a nice little touch because I felt like we haven't, at least in my opinion, seen a lot of swimming, involved.
It was nice because I remember at FanFest when they showed off the area and they're like, was it FanFest or was it one of the live letters? They're like,
the live letter at,
they're like, oh look,
no,
and
no,
there's
you know what? It was part 2. I think it was part 2.
Okay, and there's like, oh, there's like a railing there. It would be a shame if that were to like break and you would fall. And I'm just like, oh, not this again, right? Like it's such a pattern. But then it's just like, oh, it's just water and you can swim, and it's like, oh. It's all right. It's a little different.
Stuns you and like doubles all the damage you take.
It's not a lot different, but it's all right. All right. I think they need to bring back like a Riven Road. Add like steps. Add a 2-layer.
No.
The thing I would say about these trials with the Stormblood and then even with this raid, both the trials and the raid really make I feel like the Omega Scape a little bit weaker because whether it's trial fights, but Omega isn't voiced. And these trials are voiced. The Evilisian raid boss fights are voiced. Yeah, I think it adds a whole level just of enjoyment. So I've enjoyed these trials far more from that. It's like I have nothing real positive because I'm not on EX farming on this one yet, but maybe soon, maybe this week.
Did you hear who's going to join our server very briefly? Fusion.
What?
Wow. All right. We'll just spoil that now. Damn. All right. Yeah. Probably this weekend. Me and the wife are gonna move over to Gilgamesh.
Oh, nice.
So,
I wonder what would be prompting a move, if any.
Are you not gonna take the free one?
Well, I'm not. I don't know if that applies to me necessarily because I'm not on any of the.
It applies to everyone.
Does it?
It applies to everybody. Everybody gets a free move.
My wife has a lot of catching up to do with Stormblood. We'd rather do that with people that we know.
Well, yeah, it does help to play with people,
So for the 2 months that I'm still on Aether, we get to do stuff together.
But Gilgamesh is staying on Aether.
Yes.
Correct. So I'm going over to Aether because I know a lot of people on Gilgamesh.
Just don't go to Siren because Siren's having all sorts of issues. Right? I don't know if you guys know.
I heard that. Yeah.
Like
no, it was
tells are getting redirected to the. If you have the same character name as someone on Siren and someone sends a tell to someone on Siren, it gets redirected to Genova.
That was my original thought. It was maybe go to Genova, or Gilgamesh. And at the end of the day, it's like I'd rather do field stuff sooner with people I know. So
for the win.
I'm gonna miss you guys.
Yeah, you're going Crystal.
Have fun.
It'll be fine.
Completely derailed my train of thought with that. Damn.
Sorry,
talking about Seiryu and memes.
Seiryu. There was something I was getting to.
Many memes.
Somebody else say something. I forget where I was going.
So, Michelle, do you have any other thoughts on the trial itself?
I mean, I did. Like I said, I thought it was pretty easy and straightforward. It took 3 or 4 tries without much research, which was nice. It was fun. I got distracted by the memes when I was like, coursing river, wouldn't it be funny if great typhoon? I think the most difficult part if you're on your own is probably watching which side the snakes come from in the last phase. But in a group,
call it out.
Yeah.
You'll see some other people.
Set up the 1 and 2. Yeah, you set up 1 and 2 and you're just
if everybody else starts to move, you also should probably move.
Yeah. That is true.
Why 7 people standing over there like a bunch of chumps?
Yeah. Even when it's the guy slapping his hands down, it's like after
I'm
he
just
does
gonna cave to social pressure and follow all other
side.
people in the.
Yeah.
Nice.
I don't know. It's enjoyable. It's very straightforward. It's easy. Some of the weapons are really, really cool looking. Like most.
I know that's one thing I haven't seen. I haven't seen any of the weapons yet.
Look at the Dark Knight sword. It's like
Dark Knight swords are always.
Monk fists and ninja daggers. Don't like them.
The bard bow, of course, is. It's a snake. They think Conan. They took the snake. They made an arrow. They took the snake. They made a bow. Not my.
All right.
Don't like it. But.
Oh, the rest of the glamour in 4.5 is great. Seiryu weapons,
I mean, some of them are cool. Like the paladin sword is very cool. It lights up, it looks kind of like glowy water on the tip. It's very, very cool.
I got Sophia weapons. I'll go with those instead.
Yeah, those
We
are
got those
beautiful.
in this patch too.
Oh, congrats.
Except the fists. I don't like the fists.
Yeah. Well, we got the craftable ones, right? Is what we
Yeah,
got.
the craftable ones are
Yeah.
out now.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're like 4 mil a piece on Gilgamesh.
Woo.
Whew, whew, whew.
Yay. I should see what those are. Do you want me to like pick you up anything?
I'll be all right.
Okay.
I got 157 mil. It's not like 4 mil.
Oh, is that all?
I'm still excited though.
Pocket
Just
change.
regardless, when you're talking about how much things are on different servers, that when World Visit comes on,
Yeah.
you know, the first however long, but it's, you know, somebody was like, people are going to take advantage and buy and sell, and it's like, that's great. It's exactly what they want to happen. So the markets get normalized across all servers, and then they merge the dadgum markets.
That is the
Yeah,
next step.
I'll be
after that.
curious
that's the
to
next step.
see. Yeah.
Before they do it, they got to normalize it. So go make some money, buy and sell and trade across servers. Thank you. That'd be great.
It makes me sad because the market on my server is very good for me, and it's not going to be after a while. That's okay.
Make the most of it while you can.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So.
No other
Returnity
comments
release.
about the trial?
Yeah.
No. The story around it
there's
without spoiling,
snakes
I was satisfied with the conclusion of it.
Yeah.
I
It up a little bit.
That was cute. I thought it was really cute.
Yeah.
I was disappointed with Koryu.
Yeah.
I half expected it, but I was like, no, they not.
I understand it,
Yeah.
but I'm still disappointed. I wish we would have gotten like Tenzin's armor as a reward out of this.
Yeah, I know a lot of people. Don't worry, I'm sure it'll be on the Mog Station in like 6 months.
Oh.
I would buy it. I would buy it as an 11
This-
samurai.
This from the man who sat when they announced the pricing thing at the Heavens when they announced Heaven's Word and they announced the cash shop, who audibly booed.
Yeah.
I did.
Now, like 4 years later, I'd buy it.
I mean, yeah, but look at all the other things we've been able to get because of the revenue
yeah.
from that. So
The I'm going to be surprised if the cash shop isn't in game come 5.0. I'm going to be.
No, I think that might be the last straw for people who already aren't a fan of it, because the fact that it's so not in your face is kind of like the one redeeming factor about it. From a business perspective, it makes sense to put it in, but
Yeah.
from an immersion standpoint, I think people would that might be taking it a little too far.
I see that like I see it as a natural thing to happen at some point, and so I just kind of think that
Mhm.
yeah, it
I
could,
think it's dangerous.
not?
Like
I think it's
a lot of
dangerous.
people do not have a good handle on their wallet.
that's true.
Yeah.
I agree. I just saying that. I just think it's somewhere on the backlog, and if it doesn't happen in 5.0, I'm just gonna be shocked by that because it feels like it's moving in that direction. I'm not saying I'm advocating for it. I'm just saying that
Oh no, we got that.
like I just feel like
Yeah.
that's just where it's gonna go at some point. That it's just gonna make sense because it is that extra step. Oh, I want to get this. Okay, gotta log out. Gotta go to the web page.
You don't have to log out. Well,
Oh,
I guess yeah,
If
because
you want it.
a lot of people don't know this, but on your Moogle, if you click receive rewards or whatever it is after you've purchased something, if you have anything like that, it'll take a minute or two
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
stick it in the inbox.
Good to know.
I'm trying to remember. There was something I'd gotten from a code. It took like forever to show up for some reason, and usually it's like after a minute or two, it's fine. But this one, it's just like it was like hours.
Was it
Like,
one
I
of
don't
the
know.
items? Was it the Matoya hat or something? Because my Matoya hat took forever.
No, so my Matoya hat code was invalid, so I had to go through support. I was one of those people. But it was probably like another CD or something like that where it just
Yeah.
it took a long time.
I feel like
to
it was
come
really
through.
responsive at first, and lately it's just slow.
Maybe
This is like
maybe
I
it's
love
because
your
they're doing
mug.
all
It's
this
like a
back end work on it.
mirror
To
into
And they
implement
only
the
have
story
so many
into the
codes
game.
to make something account wide versus not, which makes me wonder what the heck, what their
So
code
weird.
looks like
I
on the
don't
back.
understand that.
Okay, it's like oh,
Their whole system is terrible. Like I had gotten a code for what was it, the White Magitech mount, and I
yeah,
accidentally redeemed it on the wrong character.
yeah.
That's your fault.
So, I'll admit, right? Like, okay, I goofed. Support has 0 ways to deal with that.
Yeah, they tell you that when you buy stuff.
Yeah, they do. It does warn you.
It's just like yeah.
Listen,
they
I
should,
dealt with
like-
Play Online in 11. This is a saint.
That's fair.
I'm
That's fair.
gonna correct your grammar. Deal, because you still play 11, sir. I've seen it.
Yeah, but I barely have to. But Play Online's a joke now because
Yeah.
it's so not.
It's a skeleton. It's a skeleton.
It's a skeleton.
It's just there because they can't make a new launcher.
Pretty much.
All right. So moving into Return to Evilise here with the Bone Monastery. This I think was my favorite piece of content from this patch. It was.
This is the shining star of the patch.
Yeah, this is the most. I think this is the most cinematic battle content that we've seen so far, especially with that end boss.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was so good. I'm like sitting there like spamming like my print screen button. I'm like, this is so good. Loved the animations in that fight.
I have to really hold back here because there's things I want to say are a lot of it's very lore oriented, because even the last boss, there's a reason why the fight plays out like a certain other fight you may remember, a certain
right. I love that about
it. It plays out that way for a lore reason, which is explained, but I don't want to get into it.
Yeah, I that was one of the things I picked up too. I'm like, oh, that's cool. They're doing. Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah,
that's like that other thing.
Yeah,
I get it.
It was so good, and it was a lovely love letter to people who are invested in Evilise 12 tactics, and a nice little teaser towards something I have to look forward to in Shadowbringers.
The fun thing was just that, and I'm sure that you get this too, Happy, is the number of people who are like, it's still probably not, it could still not be Vieira. It's like, how are you like, why have you not like sold like.
You know what the double thing is? We talked about how it was a Bugs Bunny shirt, right?
Yeah.
Not only that, but it was a racing.
It was a racing shirt, yeah.
Bunny race.
Bunny race. Oh, there's another smaller type bunny race. Like, it's Vieira. Like, guys, this is happening. And I'm so happy for it. Fran looks amazing in the world of 14.
Her nose is so cute.
Yeah, I was just like, I loved how that all came together. As somebody who, like, 12 is in my top 5. Like, I really, really enjoyed 12. Tactics is obviously in my top 5 too. So somebody like that, like, this really, really connected with me. And obviously the varying teases for the story and the things that they kind of like allude to. Really, it's like, I'm like, man, there's so much more of this of Heinlein that I'm really hoping that we get to explore more so. And then just like when you go into the Orbone, the monastery, like just the bridge, the visuals, just how beautiful that, like, just that in and of itself is like, I would love to be able to go and run around this area just as, you know, like if it was a zone.
I'm excited for the new forest area in 5.0. I think that'll be a lot of fun to go and kind of poke around in after seeing just kind of this little outside area in front of Orbone. Like, I love the design of it.
On a non-Final Fantasy 14 related note, just in case anybody who's listening is not aware, 10, 10.2, and 12 are announced for Switch and Xbox coming out in April. So after you finish part 2 of the 14 story, if you're looking at trying to get more into at least the Evilise, and you haven't played 12, you're going to have way more options if you haven't picked it up on PlayStation or PC at this point.
Yeah,
and don't forget about Chocobo.
It's going to be on everything.
Everybody. And Crystal Chronicles this year.
Crystal Chronicles, this
Crystal
year, but we don't know when.
Yeah, we don't know when yet.
I remember Crystal Chronicles back in the day, sitting there with my friends at our Game Boy Advances with our GBA link cables, and
in theory should work much easier now.
Much less hassle,
hopefully.
Yeah. Raid gear, there was some nice glamour with this set as well. We got Balthier's costume. We got
give a weird hat though.
I like his hat actually.
It was a weird choice.
Because he never had a hat, right?
No, yeah.
No.
Was there ever any like concept art
before he?
Was there any like concept art or something that had him with a hat?
Maybe it's either a concept or it was a class in Tactics that wore that hat.
Yeah.
And they just kind of tied it to like what kind of character Balthier is. But it's not Balthier's hat. It's the one piece of the set that kind of stands out. On its own, it's fine, but like when you see it all together, it's like.
Yeah, the picture and the preview was kind of weird, but then seeing the actual drop and trying it on, I was like, oh, that's not actually that bad. It's all right. Pretty good. Agrius's body.
Oh yeah, and of course Heretic Ramza is one of the other ones. The ones that people hate on are Oracle and what is it? Mystic was the other one? I can't remember.
Don't remember.
It's the two caster ones, but they're from Tactics, and I have the body piece, and they look good. It's just people are tired of robes, but I'm like, that's Tactics.
That's where I am. Like, I don't actively play casters, but anytime I see like new caster gear, I'm like, oh look, it's a robe. All right,
Casters
whatever.
cool. Casters are the best.
I saw one person go, oh man, they're so unoriginal with their designs. He's like, well, yeah, because it's from Tactics, and they're like, well, Tactics was unoriginal with their design. I was like, are you kidding me?
It's a vicious cycle.
All this Tactics talk is just like, I would wish they would just bring it out for PC and remaster it and 2.
Well, I don't know if you remember, but when they had Matsuno on a live letter, he brought the whole book of like
up to
Tactics 2 that never got approved.
And I'm hoping that the relationship and his Kickstarter thing is still out there doing whatever. And
oh my goodness, please tell me you're not talking about Unsung Story.
Oh, I am.
Oh my goodness!
I'm just saying that I'm not talking about that as a game. I'm talking about that him working with this. I hope Square Enix says, you know what, Tactics is a really popular franchise that we don't seem to do anything with.
I'd hope so. They're doing like a Tactics mobile game with Brave Exvius. I mean, it's called like War of the something.
Yeah.
Brave
Exvius is doing like a tactical like gotcha. Brave Exvius War of the. I don't remember.
War of the wallets.
with that way, that game, their prices are ridiculous in that game. When did they announce that? I don't think I've heard about that.
A while ago, like maybe a month and a half, something like that.
Oh, so it was at the Fan Festa then, probably.
It might have been. It might have been right before it.
I'm gonna have to look at that. I hadn't heard about that. Huh.
Look it up.
Interesting.
I don't know if Viera is the last race though. I don't trust Yoshi P.
I mean, they said it. They didn't say.
Well, he didn't say it was. He said it'll probably be the last race because it's such a pain to add races, which I get.
Well, I mean, Viera, the lore that they kind of hints at a female-only race.
No, it doesn't.
In the text, every reference.
It says 8 out of 10 Viera are female. The other 2 are born male, and they're indistinguishable by gender until the age of 13.
I missed that. I missed that thing. I just every reference where they're talking about the Viera was all feminine, or all the language was feminine. I was like, oh my gosh.
You gotta talk. I talked to all the characters. I talked to all the characters because they warned us, speak to every character that's like in your vicinity before continuing every portion of the quest. And I think
cool.
I can't remember who says it, but it's established that there are male Viera.
Okay, cool. Because I was like, all right, well, I did not do that, so I'm happy.
I can't see Yoshida doing that, right?
They specifically moved away from it because of 1.0 going into 2.0 with Rogadins and Mikotes and everything.
Yeah, he wouldn't do a female only race after that. There's no way.
Okay, cool. Well, that's good.
And then do like a male only.
They did show off concept art back before around Heaven's Word of what a male Viera would look like. So cool. All right.
Yeah. One of the other cool things. I don't know if everybody knows this. After you beat Return to Evilise, you can actually buy a new hairstyle in the little saucer. Yeah. So you can get Alma's hair or you can get Ramza's hair.
It sticks out weird, though.
Well, the thing about Alma is that it's made so it doesn't clip, but then when you don't have something there, it just floats.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's kind of weird.
And then you got the weird little swish on Ramza's hairstyle, in the artwork.
Love the swish.
It doesn't really work very well in 14. In the artwork it looks alright, but it looks a little weird in 14.
No, I like it.
It's not horrible, it's just a little weird. Did you guys have any issues with that third boss?
Yeah.
In Evilise? I it's weird because I too shot at it with my group. But then I'm also hearing we were on it for the whole run, and then we didn't clear it, and so we wiped, and people left, and it was terrible.
When I first queued up, I went right to the Thunder God. So that was the first boss that I encountered my time going through the raid, because it was queue in progress. Oh, this is where people are struggling. We got our clear the first time through, but it was I like the Ozma kind of feel. I like the 3 kind of different areas. What's that?
I thought it was easier than Ozma.
I think it is. For anyone who's done Ozma, it's easier. But for people who just joined in Stormblood, this is Ozma.
And if they haven't seen Ozma before, because the thing that the common things that trip people up were the Darkblade or Darksbane or whatever, the
three people standing in a circle,
3 and 3, and then also the left and back. I had one guy who was like, how about we try right? I go, I'm muscle memory to left. I am don't sit here and try to call out go right. Just everybody.
I'm common sense marker in between.
That's what I do. I like
Yeah.
that one. People
Yeah.
are so stuck on those markers. It's like, guys, you're still gonna be in the same 2 circles no matter what.
They're like, but if you stand in the circle when you're tanking, then you can do this mechanic. So it's like you're not glued to your marker. You understand? That's what we call a reference point.
Yeah.
The no, I really liked it. I liked the transition. I liked how, like, you know, it just, the Thunder God, I thought, was the most, like, when you break down the pure mechanics, it's straight up like the simple, like do this, but you do need to pay attention. You do need to focus because his markers aren't like on the ground. It's his swords in the air. His swords are in the ground. His swords are over different things. Like, okay, you need to be situationally aware with what's going on, and that way you can kind of make that decision because it's the same skill, but depending on how he's going to interact with it, it's going to be different. And so it did trip up a lot of people, and I think it will probably for a little while, but at the end of the day, I just have to say that this raid, what is the piece de resistance that I just felt like over like all of the Ivalice, when I look at it and compare it to Heaven's Word, like I think that the Return to Ivalice raids were just by far. I think the difficulty scale and how they like are constantly just like that a little bit more tougher as opposed to where in Heaven's Word it was really easy, and then with Weeping City it jumped up and it really kind of surprised some people. I felt like it was a nice consistent growth in difficulty. And
I think it's really nice to see that there's just been constant improvement with the 24-man. Like Crystal Tower was all right, but then Mach, like you get some cool lore stuff, you get some harder fights, and it's been constantly like getting better with each expansion, which I really like. I mean, this is that final fight for Orbone is one of the most beautiful things, the way that they do phase changes, and it looks so great. Like it's just, I think that's one of my favorite parts of this entire patch.
And I like with the final boss, they did what they did with the 24-man as well, where you have that kind of checkpoint. You know, it's like, okay, you got, you know, in the old one, Diablos, and then, you know, Hyper Diablos or Hollowed or, you know, whatever. But they had that phase change to where, you've gotten this far, now you pick up from here in case you get the wipe. So I thought that was really a nice touch as well. But I don't think the final boss of this raid was harder than the Thunder God, at least for people. I felt
no,
like.
I think
it's and you know, I feel like that's always the case, right? That third boss is always harder than the final boss. Is usually
it's almost
how
true in the actual 8-man raids. Like often people put the third boss of the actual
That's true.
raid tiers.
Mm-hmm.
Not every time, but it
As the
happens
wall.
sometimes.
Yeah,
Lately,
we've referred to it as the wall. What's the thing people are going to run up against to find the most difficult?
I mean, I still have nightmares about doing Cruise Chaser.
Forward and back. It's fine.
Hated. Oh my god, that music.
I love that music. I will never not love that music.
Yeah. The music and the bosses and just every callback. The final boss obviously calling back all the previous summons, all the previous, you know,
That was pretty great. I
Zodiac,
really
you know,
like
like that we've already
Yeah.
seen. So it's kind
It
of like,
also makes it really easy to explain to people. Like the next thing that happens already happened in the other one you did.
yeah.
Exactly the same way.
I always
That
love when they
implies
do that
people
kind of
remember.
stuff.
That's true.
It's like, hey, you clearly already been through this mechanic to get here. Just do this again.
It's still
That's all.
embarrassing. I was on stream and I was just like, you know, doing my thing and I didn't see the tower over here. And it's just, you know, it happens so quick and it's like, and then of course,
That's-
like,
yeah.
and then you see like a whole chunker raid. People get like knocked out by the tower.
Oh, I
piece.
love looking at them. My favorite thing to do when the tower mechanic, I don't even look at the boss or the towers. I look at the health bars and I go, all right,
Yeah, watch what happens.
let's see how many people fall victim to this.
That's
Same
how I
thing with-
was.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was doing when I was doing my Rabanastra runs for more coins, and you know we get to that second boss,
Yeah, that's the wall
and
there.
you know he does the rush across, and you know he's got the flaming arm on the one side where you don't stand, and it's just you just kind of sit back. You're like, all right, let's see who's gonna make it to this side.
It's interesting.
I rescue people if I have to.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
you can. Yeah, now you can take all those skills.
Yeah, I can.
Murdered
interesting trying to
controller,
get-
man. Like it was 4.4. Like on controller has been a pain in the butt. So anyway,
Sorry.
it's okay. I'm making the best of it. I've completely changed how I, use a controller on 14 after 4.4.
Makes for
What
more
was-
guides.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. It's like, come on. I'm interested to see how that impacts. It gets impacted with 5.0. Because obviously we'll see skill squish, skill, addition, blah blah blah. So
I personally think I'm gonna say most difficult fight for this one was the second one, because of trying to figure out where the 2x2 squares and the linear things are gonna cross. A lot of people have issues with that.
Oh, Grand Cross.
No. Well, is it called Grand Cross in the second fight?
The Agrius or Arius or however you pronounce it.
Oh, no, I thought you were talking about...
Actually, no, I'm talking about the first fight. I'm talking
The
about
first fight.
I'm sorry. I thought you were talking about the second part of the last boss.
Yeah, so the giants just rush across in a straight line, but then the satellites, they're like a 2x2 square.
Yeah.
Is what it is. Yeah, and I had that same exact issue. It's a quarter of the
arena per turret, and it's a line straight across.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As soon as I saw the way the arena was laid out, I was like, there's line AoEs.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are yet. This is exactly what...
Probably with those robots.
I don't know when, but at some point there's going to be line AoEs.
With the kind of the turrets that do the cross, like on the last part, at first, because I was like, I can't... Like, yeah, the one that Happy's talking about, like that tripped me up for like at least 2 runs, and I'm like, okay, wait, what's...
You have to watch for Eastern and Western March.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna move.
I love the naming for this, right? After doing Omega, they're like, just tell them the direction. It's coming from the east, the west, the left, the right. Just give it to them, plain and simple.
I like to joke in that first fight where he does left and right handgun. I'm like,
I
don't know what left and right is anymore. I only know it's starboard and larboard.
Do it on Thunder. Do it on Thunder God. When you put the marker between the two, and you go, okay, I've got the larboard marker. You've got the starboard marker.
Oh my god.
There's the meme going around where it's like, man, larboard and starboard, it's such bad naming. It gets me killed all the time. And then, okay, it's left and right. Oh, you're still dead, huh?
But where do I go?
Well, now I think I have to go left when I read left.
The one that messes it doesn't mess me up. Like I'm able to do the mechanic, but it's confusing to me is that first boss when he does the sniping.
Yeah.
Because you have that little circle thing where you have to and then there's like the gap in it, and the gap is what faces him, and I think that means he's able to shoot me. I don't want that feels like the complete opposite of what it should be.
He analyzes you first. So the 3 parts...
For your weak points.
Yes, the 3 parts that are marked are your already analyzed weak points. So you got to show him the part he hasn't seen yet.
Okay.
I think the only thing about that is it feels like when trying to make adjustments, at least on the controller, it's like it is really sensitive to like the position. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, tick, 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 got it. There we go.
The worst part for me is if you're kind of in a group of people, everybody has the circle around them. So you're like, I can't see my. There's a little debuff you can look at the top, but
you gotta spread out a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The big thing with that is I've long followed the League of Legends scene.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a champion called Fiora who has weak points in the same the same means as this. So I started reading it as the first, and that's okay. I'll say this: the most annoying thing is the first time you do it, you're in a cutscene for 15 seconds and can't read the debuff.
Yeah.
To try and figure it out.
Yeah.
You find yourself.
That's a fun cutscene, though.
It's a fun cutscene, but the fact that I would love to use that time to read the debuff to make sure I 100% get it.
Yeah.
And instead they decided to show me this is it's a little annoying from a learning perspective, but then as soon as I read it, by the time I finished reading it, I was dead. And I was like, oh, well, I know now it'll never happen.
Would you like to know about this mechanic? Read this book in the next 5 seconds.
Yeah, pretty much.
It hits so hard, even if people do it right the first time, they're not sure they did it right.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. That really hurt. I don't know.
Really hard.
I'll turn it around next time. Maybe that's the way to do it. No.
That's the best. When everyone finally did figure it out, but that one guy didn't, and you see everyone with the open to the one side, and you see the one guy who has it wrong, and you're just like, all right. I know what I'm paying attention.
He's like the guy in like the motivational poster with the field of flowers, and there's like the one different colored flower. He's like, I'm gonna be unique, and then he dies.
Gets picked.
Anything else for Evilise?
Just really
so
fun.
many things, but I can't say them.
I like the story. I like the callback. I like the characters. I liked obviously the introduction of Fran. I like where I hope that we get to see more of it. I hope that this is a good starting off point of where it's not just this side content at some point. But
I liked the map. Was a nice little tidbit. There's not. We'll talk a little bit more about that next week. There's not like a lot there, but there's enough there that we can talk about that.
That's right.
So that'll be cool.
What was I gonna say? Crap. We just swapped. Now my brain is like, Poo-coo!
Oh, and then there's the cutscene at the end as well.
Yeah, we can't. Yeah, I don't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a cutscene at the end. That's all I'm gonna say.
But the story in and of itself, though, for me,
it's good.
especially because it's like you wonder, like, because they said that Yoshi P cried a little bit during, when he told the story. Yeah, like so there's some touching pieces to it.
I don't know that I cried, but I got a little emotional.
Like with the cliffhanger of the story, which we'll talk about next week. That with the main thing versus the Evil East, like I was like, I liked what I got here, but I loved what I got over here. Like I was really, I think, for lack of a better term, I was really fed a lot of both. Just it was like a really, really good meal. I was like, man, this is great. I really am excited about Reset because I'm really excited to go back and try to get some more of this gear because like I've even run it, for guides, but also just the fact that like, friends are going. Like, yeah, I'm going. Like I'm not going to get anything, but I'm in. Like this is fun.
Yeah.
2 things for me. I've run it about a dozen times now, trying to get the Bard body. I'm still fine with it. I'm not like dreading it, so I'm actually enjoying this thing. I'll go and do it. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if my friends feel that way because I'm like, guys, 24 man, yeah, and not so.
They're like, no, you have fun.
Yeah, bye. But
they goes through their head and they're like, third boss. Yeah, I'll wait.
That was my thing. Like my first run through because I did a day of the patch, and so I hadn't done it yet, but I've heard the stories, right? And so like he drops pants, I'm like, you know what? I wear pants. Sure.
You just want to get that loot from the first.
I wear pants. I'll take the pants.
Not because you don't want to run it again, but because in case you don't, because of a bad time, you're like,
I would hate to not get a drop, go back, and then have one of those groups that you hear about on Reddit and Twitter and I don't want to have to deal with that.
I've actually had a lot of good encounters with random people. I had one really just sour encounter with a guy who was like, this is how the mechanic works. No, it's actually, no, this is how, okay, guy, whatever. But I've had a couple of like, oh no, this works this way, discussions with people where people were like, oh, is that okay? And they were actually very agreeable. So that was nice. Maybe
I will say,
happenstance, but
it's nice. I ran it twice because I ran it with a friend, and both times it was a 2-shot on that third boss, which is like, thank you. Like, I think it's one of those things where, we're in 4.0 right now, and I think a lot of people that are probably raiding have probably been around. They probably did 3.0 raids, and so they have a better understanding because it's similar to stuff we've seen before, and they're easier to adapt to things, which is nice. But then every so often, you get the one person that's like, what's this? I don't know what's going on, and they're the flower that gets sniped in the first.
You just have to remind yourself when you see them die 4 times, they're probably new. They don't know what they're doing.
It's that awareness. You just gotta be aware.
I feel that way until the 4th pull. Then I'm not sure.
You know what's kind of nice about the 3rd fight? Is it Duskblade? The thing where you have to have 3 people? If 2 people screw it up, it's okay because 6 people got it right, and that's all you need.
I do appreciate that. Yeah, it's because I was doing that with a friend, and he's like, "Oh, we gotta like split the party in half like perfectly." I'm like, "But these little circle areas they're sectioned into 3, which means it's a little forgiving, right? If you don't figure it out, as long or if people are dead, you can still clear it. It's kind of like we'll be a little easy on you guys for this phase."
But just
yeah, and I appreciate that they went a little easy on us.
I don't know. Asking 18 out of 24 people to do something right is not odds I generally take in the duty fight. Not usually.
That's fair.
Glass half full.
Yeah.
We also got a lot of cool little gold saucer updates with this patch. We got Air Force One, which I think is awesome.
I have not got the gate, but go ahead, Mike.
Dude, can I just say 2 best items in the game now come from the gold saucer: the mount, the Imperador, and the Faust lance.
That thing is so ugly, though.
No, it's awesome.
Have you actually seen someone? Because when you're using it, it's glowing and like the drill is spinning and everything.
I mean, I've like tried it on, like, and it flickers and it looks. I don't know.
I love that thing.
If I was gonna buy anything, I would buy the wooden katana.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Bokuto is a nice little simple touch.
But yeah, like I thought about the Faust lance because I actually have that whole Alexander set, and I was like, like it'd be cool to go with that, and it's like,
I love that
But it
thing.
doesn't
I was
look that great.
So the only thing I haven't got to do is the Air Force One, because it wasn't up when I was like in the saucer, and I was like in queue for something else. I was like, okay, I'm still want to maybe hopefully get that done today. But this was my first introduction to the Mahjong game. I've never played it before in my life, and I was like, what is this? But I actually really appreciated it. Like once kind of getting some of the basic stuff down, I was like, oh, this is like a really just an interesting addition. Obviously, it's not Blitzball. So it's like, okay, like, oh, is it Blitzball? I was like, oh, it's Mahjong. I was like, somebody told me this, and I don't know if it's true, but they're saying like the online players out there aren't that great, like that already exist. And so, like, I'm just wondering, like, it would be so interesting if Final Fantasy XIV became the premier place to play online Mahjong, and I probably was butchering the pronunciation.
Well, I said it last night. The biggest mistake Square Enix made with Mahjong is you don't need to pay to play it in the game. You can do it in the free trial. So if anyone does, that's it. They don't need to ever pay for this game. That's it.
I did one round of Mahjong, and I didn't like learn, right? I'm like, I'll just like go to the easy table and just see what happens. And it's cool, like it gives you like some recommendations for moves and stuff. It takes a long time to play through. And this is like I don't know Mahjong. Full disclosure, I don't know anything about Mahjong. But I was disappointed that there was no MGP reward.
There's one challenge log. That's all you need.
This is the challenge log piece, but that's it.
All right. I'm being asked to ask you to show off the Blue Mage mask. Can you have
There's
it
a picture on Twitter.
I tweeted it out last night.
Oh, it's over there. It's on my
look.
shelves behind me.
Okay.
Yeah, just go to my Twitter. It's on there.
Yeah, that's where I was like, that's great. I'm sorry.
And follow the thread. You'll see Sly's reaction to it.
I was gonna say like something about the mount in and of itself, like you're saying, like it's cool. Like when I was watching the live stream and they showed off that mount and they debuted it, Maddie was with me, and her audible reaction was probably just the best. She saw it and it really took my breath away. She's like, oh, what is that?
It's interesting because I had the exact opposite reaction when I logged in. I didn't log in. I guess I was up pretty quick after patch up. And so I did MSQ first. And so I go out to Mordona, and as I teleport in, I just see walking up to the Rising Stones is that damn gold saucer cactus. So I'm like, all right, main scenario, let's do this. And I hear like walking up to the. I'm just like, oh my god.
And it hops, doesn't even walk.
Yeah, it's just this little hot, makes these like little sounds. Like, oh my god, it was fun.
Yeah, after Maddie saw it and was and wanted it, it's like, yep, there's dad goals right there. Let me go get that.
There you go. Nice. I'm trying to think. What else did they do with this? Oh, they did some Eureka adjustments. I know Haps, you already played around with those.
Yeah, Pagos is tolerable now.
Tolerable.
Now that we're all done with it, it's finally tolerable.
That's what they print on the box of 5.0. Pagos is tolerable now, Mr. Happy. There's a box quote for you.
Yeah.
Well, the big thing is, so they pretty much doubled the rate at which NMs spawn in Pagos, and they also more than doubled in some cases crystals. Like the first NM, the level 21, gives 8 Pagos crystals now.
Oh wow!
And Louis goes all the way up to giving you 40.
But does Cassie spawn now?
Yeah, a lot of people actually go and spawn Horus and Angra because they're out of things to do, so they go and spawn all the other things now.
Okay.
Every NM is usually wiped out in the 2-hour respawn time frame. You can teleport everywhere at 25 now, so you can access the whole north side.
Yeah, that was a nice change when I saw that. I was just like, yes.
Yeah. And then light farming, they nerfed light farming in 4.4, but it was mostly the light you got from NMs, which didn't spawn any faster, so you didn't really notice it. So, in 2 lockouts,
showed up.
Yeah. So in 2 lockouts, I got 10 light crystals, 524 Pagos crystals, and Louis Ice. And that's just from NMs. I didn't do any light grinding or anything. And then solo light grinding is still as good as ever was. I did 13 crystals in a lockout, and I could have done more, but it's bad RNG. So I went through it. I went through it in 4 lockouts. Could have gone through it in 3, possibly, just to finish a whole second weapon.
Wow.
I just want the open world to act like Eureka. Like
I don't want the whole open world. I just want pockets of you. I want pockets of Eureka to exist in the open world, so that way you can do it while queuing for something else.
That's the biggest thing, especially because as somebody who really enjoys PvP and who really hates the queue times for PvP, It's like I was sitting here and that's kind of where like I last left off in Eureka. I was like, man, you know how it would be really great is with a 30-minute PvP queue time. I was sitting here just soloing in Eureka or doing whatever until that pops. Like it would be such perfect content to be complementing anything that actually you have to wait for on anything. And it's like, so that's just kind of where I'm at. Like whether it was pockets or not, like I like that concept that they brought in. I like how the enemies give chase. I like the difficulty. And like I've said this multiple times, all Eureka in this expansion did was serve to invite me back to go play 11. So every time I feel like queuing in for Eureka, I just go play Blue Mage in 11 and I get that fixed 10 times over.
Pagos was I always tell people Pagos was so bad when it came out, I played 11 for a week out of spite. That's how like Pagos drove me to, because I was like, listen, because 11's gotten rid of most of the stuff that made it as tedious as Pagos is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I was like, 11 is actually less annoying than Pagos. Not anymore, but that's how it was back then.
I will say, having to tolerate and put up with Pagos, it finally paid off at FanFest with that race that they did where you had to run up to, like, they're like, yeah, and you have to like get from to this Aetheryte. I'm like, oh, I got this.
like I want to put this in perspective, chat. I finished a full afterglowed relic weapon in 11 instead of doing Pagos.
Oh my god.
It is content that it's like I look at it and it just like I think even you talked about this in one of your videos, Happy, just like it's what's there is interesting and it's a good core, but it's not really finished. It's it's like, oh, you're at 80%, and if you just got the last 20%, that's where it would come together. And I think evidence of it shows with Pyros, where Pyros in and of itself is like, okay, yeah, like we've got these pieces together and now they're really churning. And so that's where it's like the fact that it's instance, I get why it's instance. Technologically, they don't have the server structure that would serve it to be open world content. The world visit system's a start, but you gotta be able to fill in and make sure that there's people doing the content. Best way to do that is via matchmaking. And I think that ends up being one of its key weaknesses in the end, because there's so many things that it would be so cool to have. Party Finder would be amazing to have in it, because you could open a party, people could join in progress, as opposed to like the mistake I made, and I will never make again, is I cannot be the party leader and a healer, because I'm either recruiting or people are dying. And if people are dying, it means I'm recruiting more. So it's like, it would be like, yeah, just join if you want. And the other side of it is that, being able to have like your chocobo out with you, being able to be in queue for other things. And at some point I would kill, and I'm straight up just like, who do you need to have me knock off? Yoshi P. I'll go take care of it today. I need some freaking level sync. And I think it's going to be even more apparent when Blue Mages drop on Tuesday. If you do not start and get in a Blue Mage group, you literally they're going to need to have some kind of level sync at some point, because otherwise, as more limited jobs come in, if you don't have it, it's just going to be a real big pain in the butt.
So what I took away from that is that you are secretly an assassin.
Yeah, well, I work from home. I've never said what I do for a living.
Oh boy, he's a work-at-home assassin. That makes sense.
Yes.
I just wouldn't want Eureka to be the whole world. I find that making the open world tedious for the sake of making it more dangerous is not a good approach to gameplay.
But what about the trust system, though?
We're using them in instances. They already commented on those being Shadowbringers content.
But if they were able to eventually bring that into the open world, doesn't that then solve that problem?
No, because then why would you do it in the first place? Like, then it's not dangerous. You've basically given it existence and then taken away its existence in 2 fell swoops. But I think pockets of the open world being like that, like for example, let's say if you're in the Ruby Sea and you're in those underwater bubbles, if those, you couldn't fly in those and they had their own separate kind of difficulty in there, like creating those pockets is more.
Well, and they could do that. They could do that also with like NMs out in the open world, like just like from a color palette perspective, Fates are blue, NM is purple, and it's out there, and it then easily, just like you're saying, visually communicates that this is a step up in what you might be used to.
Yeah,
So.
like in the chat brings up the perfect, like Final Fantasy 11 so regularly referenced for dangerous open worlds. In Final Fantasy 11, you throw sneak and invis on and ignore everything and pretend it doesn't exist. So all of a sudden, the fact that the world was dangerous never mattered to me in the first place, because I'm doing everything. I'm doing two things to eliminate it, pretty much, that aspect of my gameplay experience.
Where I come from and where, like, I get what you're talking about is that whether, like, I don't view trusts as the answer. I view them as a removal of downtime. In 11, and same thing like with 14, I remove it. I look at it like I would rather play with my friends or a human, but if somebody's not around, etc., and thus the open world becomes viable as content while you're waiting for something, in this case queue to pop. We've seen such a huge shift in Stormblood to be focusing on instance content, and there's nothing wrong with it, but when the majority of that is your game, then all of a sudden you have a line to get in to do the content, and depending on what you decide to play, and it's, again, like the answer would be, well, if you don't like waiting, go play a tank or a healer. If you don't want to do that, then you don't have to. But with the removal of the leaves, as it's instanced content, but it's in the open world. With the removal of these things that you could do out in these maps, we hope to see within 5.0 a shift to where it's not, that isn't the main draw of the content, but there's a balance between it. Because I would say right now, if you're thinking of it as a teeter-totter, we're not balanced. It is the game is an instance content game, and the open world is just serving as a set piece to play through once, do your beast tribes, and then you just wait at home to go.
Hey, I do hunts and treasure maps. I'm out there all the time.
I think what we need in 5.0 is just have some more open world castrums and just have content inside of those.
I'll take anything really at this point. Just like something.
This is where they're finally gonna add the like invasion buffing open world stuff.
Conquest,
yes, baby, bring it.
Word.
It'd be cool.
Gotta get them outpost warps, man.
I'm glad I don't need that stuff anymore.
No, the change in 11 with the home port crystals, man.
So if only I knew another game that did that.
Like, I've always,
right.
that also that like 14 draws reference from with trusts, and it's like,
Matsui came back after a Realm Reborn. He's like, all right, we're doing this all wrong. These things teleport you now. so many quality of life changes after that, man.
Yeah.
All right. Is there anything else hands-on patch 4.5 that we want to bring up here?
Every single piece of added furniture
Lofts.
is great.
We have lofts now. That was surprising to see.
I just want to say something general. Now that we're kind of coming to the end of Stormblood, we've kind of gotten an idea of we can start kind of comparing all of Stormblood to all of Heavensward. There's still pieces that we haven't seen. We have Blue Mage on Tuesday. That'll be introduction of a new idea. We are still, I guess, expecting the 14-15 cloud to be somewhere before Shadowbringers, which could be more. I don't know about you. I want it to be Rathalos-esque in terms of quality. I don't know if it will be, but I'm hoping.
Yes.
After seeing the effort that went into the 15 side of it, I'm hoping.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we'll see that. If not at Paris, we'll see it at Tokyo. We have to see it by Tokyo.
It can't be all the way in Japan. I refuse to accept that we're waiting that long for it. But yeah, it's possible. And then there's also Hydatos and this introduction of a dungeon within a zone.
Yeah.
Which I guess I get that Eureka's in an instance, but this whole like almost a more archaic way of allowing entry with the whole entry items thing and separating, I guess, objectives. And then we have part 2 of the story. We have all these things, and then the world visiting system and all the drama that's going to come with that. And we still almost have a complete piece of a complete idea of Stormblood. And it's been interesting going down the same roller coaster again. Heavensward went away, this went away, and the content structure remaining the same. And all I've kind of come out with Stormblood after all this time is to appreciate the increase in quality and realize that I kind of like the content we've been getting for 5 years in 14. I accept new and important ideas, but if any of these things that we have that's there every patch were to go away, I would feel significantly emptier.
Yeah.
With, I guess
as much as a lot of people kind of complain about that repetitive structure, like, it's important that it's there.
It's a warm blanket. It's comfort food in that regards. And the only counter argument to it is not a negative, because it just has hope with Diadem and with Eureka. The hope is that we stop letting content that they spend time on just disappear off the face of the earth. And they've teased that they're going to be re-looking at Diadem and 5.0. And that will be interesting.
That was surprising that they were going to look at it again, because before Yoshida's like, we might just get rid of it.
Yeah, I still think that's what he means by it. I think when we look at it,
we're going to look at it and be like,
deleting it.
We're going to look at it and wave
look
goodbye.
At it as we
They said they would have to take
into
everything in there, achievements and everything, and find a place for it if they suddenly didn't have it.
I just wish they would open it up as just a zone that you get to. You know, it's like you want to go run around and explore it, and here's what it is, and it's harder. Fine, have fun.
I think they really dropped the ball on what they could do with airships. Like, who didn't want to be able to actually just drive their airship around, you know?
Right. And it's not to say they can't do it. Like the challenges that they faced with Stormblood, it's because like Happy, you bring up a fantastic point. It's just that, like, what would you sacrifice? Like, what would we say, like, we want to give up, you know, in order to get something new and unknown? And it's like they deliver, and like you said, the quality definitely has gone up in the content. But we do sacrifice a lot of content with each patch, and I look at Eureka. If they extend Eureka as some form of content into 5.0, if it's still there to do and have fun and use to level or what have you, so it's not completely irrelevant, then I think that would be a success in my mind. But if Eureka come 5.0, 5.1, 5.2, it's just empty and devoid of life, and there's no reason to go there, then I think they spend a lot of time in development for content that just expires. And that's where the relic system in the past, I think this one's better because it is new content, but the relic system of past games, Heavensward and even 2.0, served to say, hey, what's all this other content that people aren't doing, and keep it relevant to some point and degree. And it's that they have so much amazing content. Like when we think of 5.0, like what are we going to be, like 90 plus dungeons? Like, you know, what they teased off, and this is something that I'm really excited about checking out with the Carnival for Blue Mage, is that every week they're going to elevate 3 of the fights, you know, to these different difficulty tiers, and that's gonna change. I'd love to see that kind of concept brought in with dungeons or something like that, where like every week it's like, cool, here's 3 dungeons we're just gonna make harder, and then it's like, and that flips the switch and changes out, or something, just to keep, you know, this backlog of stuff that you don't really touch when you don't need experience relevant.
That makes me think of what is that thing you do for Chloe?
The Wondrous Tales.
The Wondrous Tales.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I don't know why exactly, but it makes me think of something like that. You just take
Tales
random old dungeons and bump up the
difficulty.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Wondrous Tales is great. That's why I've said Blue Mage feels like the Wondrous Tales of the job system. It's like, hey, you know, go do all this 5.0, you know, 2.0 content, and then they're going to eventually keep leveling it up, and so that you would, you know, like, hey, no one's doing 3.0. Let's put them back.
I love with this patch too how they future-proofed all the gear for Blue. Like there's like level like 60 plus, like everything, right? All the caster stuff has Blue Mage on it, but Blue Mage is only going to be level 50 at the patch, so it's not going to be able to use a lot of this stuff.
Right.
And that was a big thing for me with the Blue Mage reveal, and why Tuesday is really important, because I didn't want it to go the way of Eggy Glamours. That was my.
Yeah.
I didn't. And they've commented saying they're doing stuff. I have a strong feeling Eggy Glamours will be part of Summoners, I guess, whatever changes they make to the expansion. Like, they'll probably have this like full UI available for 5.0. That's kind of my expectation. If not 5.0,
Summoner stances with Eggies or something. Who knows?
Yeah. Not like it's not effective gameplay, but just like part of the appeal. And especially because they've already developed now a way to take the full-sized avatars and make them smaller. That's no longer an excuse to not do.
I mean, they figured out the way to animate them and stuff. That was the initial hurdle. But that's done now, so.
Right.
Yeah, so all that's done. So there's a lot of stuff, but with Blue Mage, I was afraid it was going to like, here, we're going to release it. We're done.
Well, it's like
they've already started saying, hey, we're going to increase the level cap in the patch after 5.0. We've already got 128 spells planned out. We made the objectives and the rewards simple at first, and then we're going to be doing these new things with it, you know, once we get it down the line. The hearing a plan for it makes me more confident in it than when they first unveiled it.
Yeah, the amount of misinformation or confusion.
Lack of information.
Well, and it's also that this is our first limited job. This is our first step into that world, right? By the time limited job number 2 is introduced, it's going to be met with, okay, we have an expectation. Just like we have the expectation of every patch. Oh, we're going to get dungeons, this. Oh, once Blue Mage gets to 70, because they're not going to get it to 80, and so then it always kind of probably be 10 levels behind cap. Once we kind of have that, we'll have that same kind of expectation for Beastmaster, Puppet Master, accountant. Who cares? Like, who knows what they could do? They can do anything they want.
Accountant.
It's just
arithmetician.
It's just that they could do anything they want with this, and they're not going to have to worry about blowing up the raid scene. And I get that there's definitely disappointment for people who are in the raid scene who want to main a Beastmaster, who want to main a blue. I have sympathy, but at the same time, I have excitement for what it could mean for the game as a whole. Just it is a fun experiment, if nothing else.
We'll see how it goes. It's one of these things, right? It's the first one. Obviously, community reaction is mixed, but we also haven't had hands-on with it yet. So these next few weeks will be interesting, and I'll be curious to see for those people that are upset about it not being like a job they can raid on or do certain content on to see how.
Have you guys seen the new mobs in the open world change? So they've added new mobs to the open world that are much larger than the normal counterparts, and they like to hang out together. So there's like a gilded bomb next to the bombs at Copperbell. That's essentially going to be where you could farm, explosion, self detonate. Forget the name. So it's like there are more, and for me and for all of us here that did 1.0 to 2.0, where they made the mobs bigger. It kind of, for me, there was just kind of a feeling because. There's also a couple other things that might be going on in the world that we're kind of keeping an eye out on. The moon's acting kind of weird, so we'll have to see what happens.
I don't think the moon thing is a thing.
No, the moon thing's not weird. The moon thing hasn't changed at all. It's just a lighting effect of Mordona. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter, but it's no different than it was 4 years ago.
There's some different stuff. I'm not saying that there's.
I know what you're talking about.
Shape,
it's no different.
It's changing in color.
I know exactly what you're talking about. It's been that way for 4 years. I've paid very close attention to that moon. It only happens in
watch it. No. I'm talking about like
he just logs in every day. He's like, I just want to look at that moon. I'm very suspicious of moons after 2.0.
I am.
Make sure that moon is behaving.
We already know something about that moon. That moon, we already know there's something going on.
There's something going on with the moon. I don't know if it's not. It's beyond Mordona. There's no effect that's happening in Mordona that's not happening in the other parts of the world. So we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, I'm excited.
All right. So that is going to be it for our discussion of hands-on for patch 4.5. Next week, January 18th, same time, noon Pacific, Mr. Happy will be back joining us. We will be talking about...
So you asked me about this show and the next show, and I said, yeah, I'm good for both. I didn't initially mean to be on both. I just meant, like, I can do, like, there's availability. And you were just like, all right, here. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. I said I'm available.
Yeah, it was funny, because, like, the way I, like, worded it, I'm like, which one do you want to be on? And you were like, both. Like, it was just some weird...
I said I'm good for both.
Yeah.
I didn't, because I was just answering availability, and it worked out. I was like, yeah, I'll do both, sure.
Yeah, all right, whatever. It's all good. So next week will be Spoiler Cast. We'll finally be able to talk about story. We will be doing our patch 4.5 review, which will then also be posted up on the front page over at Gamerscape.com, and we will be talking about initial impressions for hands-on with Blue Mage. So please come back for that and check that out. Mr. Happy, would you like to do your plugs?
Sure, you can find me, Mr. Happy1227, at Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram, all with the same name. Although YouTube, Xehanort1227, because of 2008, Mr. Happy deciding.
It's cool. It's cool. Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming out now. It's topical.
It just seems like my channel got Norded. That's like people just.
There you go. There you go.
Works perfectly.
Put little yellow eyes somewhere in there to.
Yeah, with the little happy logo. Yeah. I just gotta like. Tint the eyes a little bit.
There you go.
Obviously jumping into Blue Mage at server up on Tuesday, so bright and early. And I'm Shadowbringers. I'm ready. I need the end of March now.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. All right, and then if you want to contact us, you can email us at aetheryteradio@gamerscape.com. You can tweet at us at aetheryteradio, and then we are also available on Twitter at Gamerscape, on Facebook at Gamerscape, and discord.gg/Gamerscape. We do have our spoiler channel if you are doing main scenario or Evil East and just need to talk to somebody about what's going on.
Your friends are being slow. That's okay. We got people.
We have the chat channel for that. So thank you, everybody, and we will see you here next week.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, everyone.